Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm talking about the Fawn response. Okay, if you have complex PTSD, if you were raised in narcissistic family dynamics, right, they often go hand in hand, everyone has a dominant trauma response, right? And there are four. There's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And a lot of scapegoats in particular wind up with the fawn response. So I just wanted to talk about it today and really just understand it so that if you notice it in your life, right? If you notice it in your adult life, then you can start to understand why you might be stuck in certain, dynamics, certain characteristics. And obviously the most important thing is to learn how to overcome it. So with that in mind, let's get started. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a life and relationship coach, and I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which starting next month, I'm super excited. We're gonna have EFT and breathwork sessions that are going to be a part of the memberships. So if you can benefit from weekly support, make sure you check out the link in the description box below. Okay, so we're talking about the fawn response. Now, if you had a narcissistic caregiver, this is an extreme challenge for any child because we are hardwired, right, biologically hardwired to attach to our caregivers. And yet, if you have those dynamics in your caregiver, then the person that's meant to save your life or to keep you alive and to protect you is also the same person that is harming you. And part of you is wanting and needing this person, and the other part is seeing and feeling the abuse and, not wanting, obviously, to endure the harsh abuse that comes with narcissistic parents. So they always say children are resilient, and those in the School of Transformation know that I'm not a big fan of that expression, because while they are resilient in the sense that they learn ways to deal with their situation, it also creates maladaptive coping skills in them. So for example, a child in that environment, a very young child, notices that they're not safe and yet needs the safety of the parent. It's like it's a catch-22. And what they will do, or what the brain will do to keep them safe and to help them to endure what they're going through, is it's almost like this dissociative split takes place inside. So part of the child craves the love and the care of the caregiver, and the other wants to run and flee. And since that's impossible to do, it's impossible to do both, the coping skill of fawning takes place, which means you will appease, please, and pacify the caregiver in any way that you need to in order to try to avoid more abuse. So a child that's hungry, right? Let's say a 3-year-old, a toddler is feeling hungry, 4 years old, and they express their need to the caregiver, and the caregiver flips out, makes them feel like they are nothing but a burden. Well, it doesn't take long before that child starts to see, my needs cause pain in me. My needs cause problems with my caregiver. And if my caregiver has a problem with me, then I'm not safe, because who's going to take care of me? And so the fawn response steps in, and a child like that will actually stifle their own needs, even if it's hunger, thirst. If they're sad, they will stifle their own feelings, their desires. They'll be angry sometimes at the way they're being treated, but they will stifle that anger, because if they've ever expressed it to the parent, it's been met with so much more hostility and danger that the child quickly learns, I can't be, think, feel, or express or emote anything that my caregiver doesn't like. And the child quickly learns that the only thing the caregiver likes is when that child is serving that caregiver in some way. Now, that is a very good coping skill for that child, right? I guess we could say that that's resilience, right? The child learns to do that, and in small ways makes their environment a little bit less torturous, maybe a little bit. But The reality is that by doing that, by pacifying at the expense of authenticity, by stifling emotions that need to be processed and released, those emotions get stuck in the body. And everything that's stifled, right, causes you to dissociate from yourself. And in adulthood, this leads to nothing but problems, okay? So a child that had to pacify, a child that had to fawn for safety reasons when they were young, winds up being an adult that is very much disconnected from themselves. Most people that grew up and had the fawn response in childhood, they feel numb. They don't even feel connected to their emotions. They don't even feel their emotions. I've had clients tell me, Michele, like, I feel like a robot. I can't even feel anything except this like perfect, tone of voice and this perfect way of sitting and being that they mastered in childhood to avoid more abuse. So in adulthood, that coping skill becomes something that makes it impossible to feel, impossible to enjoy and love yourself because you're not even being yourself, impossible to form close relationships because you wind up people pleasing and just appeasing and pacifying. It causes you to be attracted to narcissists, or maybe you're not attracted to the narcissist, but the narcissist sure is attracted to anyone that is willing to disown themselves in favor of revolving around the narcissist. And it almost feels like you're living life, like you're watching it as a movie, and you're not a part of that life. So if any of those characteristics feel like they resonate with you, right, and you're wondering, why do I feel so disconnected? Why can't I express myself? Why am I so afraid of, being honest and being real? Why am I always people-pleasing? Why is it so hard for me to, show up as my authentic self? It's probably because in childhood, that was a coping skill. That was a coping skill that kept you safe. And this is the hard part about complex PTSD, is that once you know, like you can know logically that this is why this is happening, and trust me, that's a big step in and of itself, because when you don't know why you're that way, you can feel like, what's wrong with me? But now you can realize that it's just that you had to behave in certain ways to keep yourself safe in childhood, right? So it helps you to understand some of your behaviors, but changing it and stopping the fawn response is not something that goes away simply because you get the understanding that you're stuck in the fawn response, okay? That's the challenge about working through complex PTSD, is that your brain was hardwired to have these beliefs, these thoughts, these emotional states, and then they were repeated over and over. And they were repeated to the point that now they're part of your subconscious programming. So working through complex PTSD is learning about the why certain behaviors are taking place in your life, but then it's about rewiring those coping mechanisms that are now maladaptive, rewiring them so that your brain does not continue to live as if you need them still. And that's not easy. It takes time, it takes compassion, it takes repetition plus emotion, right? Which is how the narcissist wired or rewired you to be in the fawn trauma response. You have to do the rewiring to break out of it. So I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on the trauma responses of complex PTSD, as well as how to break through them little by little. But always remember that if the videos aren't enough and you feel like you're still struggling and you're tired of being stuck in these trauma responses that are stealing your ability to enjoy life, please make sure you check out the School of Transformation, because not only do we have weekly support with coaching where we talk about these things and we work through them with tools and tips, but starting next month, we're actually going to be adding somatic modalities that help get trauma out of the body. For example, breath work is an amazing modality that helps release stuck energy and trauma from the body. So make sure you check out the school, the link in the description box below, because it's growing and it's also expanding on what it offers as well.